It's bejeweled today because the amount of gems I'm going to drop today are crazy. Listen, when I first got this, I was so heated. Wait, hold up. Let me introduce myself first. Hey, it's Abe, back on your screen with another Patreon exclusive. If you're new to this, not true to this, every month I come out with a visual pod. I also do 4 audio ones to complement these. If you want to support, you can head over to Patreon for more. I share my life and give a personal take to help you along your authentic way. So let's go. Today's topic comes from social media. It's always social media. Here I am minding my own business. I got a ping. And before I get into the thing, because it's a thing, when I tell you I was pissed when I saw it, just you wait till you hear it. But one thing I noticed, ever since I got TikTok a couple years ago, against my will, because I hated that app when I first got it, but now I'm obsessed. Everyone is a victim in these streets. Like, who's doing these people wrong? Because we can't all be victims. Somebody has to be the villain in everyone's story. But there's a story time for everything, whether there's snakes, problems with childhood trauma, fake friends, narcissistic exes. It's just like, wait, everyone's been done wrong, then who's doing the wrong? And here I am minding my own business earlier this week. And like I said, I got a ping. And would you believe I'm that villain in somebody else's story? Shame, shame, shame. So let's get into this.
I don't know if this is like a shared experience, but I had to cut a friend off a while back because they were just playing a part in their own demise. They were consistently making poor decisions and poor judgment. They were always coming to me to pick up the pieces and support them in times of need after they fell flat on their face. I just kind of felt like that was unfair to me because I never supported their decisions in the first place. I was open about telling them that. Every time I would give them a lecture, basically explaining to them why their decisions weren't conducive to their success or just not prosperous, whether it was going back to that man or that girl that I told them to leave it alone, whether it was doing old habits that don't really align with where they're trying to go, whether it was just entertaining a vex that I just really felt like we needed to move on from, right? They always managed to just like take what I said, take it in one ear and let it go out the other. Eventually, what?
Okay, I've heard enough. If you want the rest, I'll link it down below. The level of shade, whew. When I tell you, I had to stop myself. I said, it's not Scorpio season. I cannot be a petty princess. But for real, I'm too grown for that. So I just have to take a breather, leave it where it lay, and ask myself, what is the problem? Because you cannot answer what you are not called by. And how much of this is true? Then I messaged my best friend and I asked him, like, first of all, what is this? And he said, I let her know that I sent this to you because she sent this to me about you. And I said, did you agree with her? And he said, yes. And I'm like, about what part? I needed to know. And he said, about you choosing wrong with guys. And I said, hello, look around. I know I don't see much, but I'm not seeing anyone. So I don't know what's going on. I had to sit with this some more. I discussed some things with him because I'm always learning to learn and grow and be better. So at first, no one wants to hear about themselves. But once that faded with the being pissed off, I was like, what can I take away? And I thought, I got 5 keys that I want to share with you guys today. The first is operational definitions. The second is bad decisions. The third is your why. The fourth is meeting people where they're at. And the fifth, maybe most importantly, is moving with clarity. So let's get into it. To start, operational definitions are essential. It's so important to have these aligned for yourself and with the people you care about. Operational definitions are things that we say to one another or words that we use. And we're speaking the same language, but we're not talking about the same thing. It could be things like love and success and friendship, where we think if I say love, it means the same thing. The same way someone might say, if I say success is to me, that may not be what it is to them, right? And that is the case in this case with friendship. So using myself as an example, before, if you were my friend, you were my friend, you were my friend. Like everyone was my friend. And the problem is I didn't realize that acquaintances is not a bad word. Most of the people that I considered in the past a friend were really an acquaintance. And there's nothing wrong with that. They were great people, but they were never meant to be placed in the friendship circle. An acquaintance is someone you go out with, you kiki with, you have a good time, and you go your way. A friend, for me, my operational definition is someone that you connect with, that you're committed to their growth, and you continue on the path together. You have a sense of community, and you have a sense of authenticity where you have trust and you feel a level of vulnerability. That depends on how long you've known them and where you're at in your life. It can change, right? But that is my definition. Sitting with that shifts everything for me. That is why I take this a little less personally, because I realize although I've known this person for 2 decades nearly, and I used to call them a close friend, they were really just an acquaintance all along. No one who truly knows me could sit there, sift and scroll, listen to the mandem say the whole thing, and then send it to my best friend and really believe that's the truth about me. So now that we've got my operational definitions out of the way, I want you to take some time to think about yours as it pertains to different areas of your life. And you'll start to realize whenever you have a dissonance with someone, it's usually because you have a difference of definition. On to bad decisions, because let me be the first to say, I know I've made bad decisions, okay? Everyone has. Like, who has lived on this planet and not made a bad decision? And it's so easy for us as women to look at each other and be like, yeah, you chose wrong, girl. You allowed that to happen, or I don't feel bad for you. I never want to be that person to someone else. I'd rather lead with love, and sometimes leading with love means leaving someone where they're at. But it also doesn't mean being shady, you know? So I'm thinking here, and I asked my best friend, he's like, yeah, she does agree that you've made bad decisions with men. And I'm like, put a pin in that, because we're going to get into that when we get to your why. When it comes to making bad decisions, when you have good people in your court, they're going to lead with love and say, you know, this is your life, this is the decision you're making, but I hope that you can see that this is not going to be good for you. They're not going to say, oh, you're going to fall flat on your face, or let you fall flat on your face, because that's not true love. Love leads and humility heals. These are the things that I feel like we need more of in the world, whether it goes to friendships, romantic relationships, or family ties. We're all going to make mistakes, and some mistakes are greater than others. Some decisions could have been avoided, but there's usually a why, which leads to this next segment, which is perhaps my favorite. We've talked about it 1,000,001 times over on the Patreon pod, so Patreon fam, I'm sorry if you're sick of it, but it's so essential. It's so important to know your why, because it unlocks so much for you. And when you know your why, it can help you make better decisions in the future. I know for a fact that even with the last scenario of making a bad decision in the romantic realm, it was because I felt like I had no one else. I even told this friend, I feel disconnected and isolated from everyone. What did she do to mitigate that? I'll wait. On October 28th, 2023, I'm looking out this window. It's a sunny day like today, but I'm so filled with sorrow inside because it's 3 years since my dad died. And I called up the guy I was seeing, and I told him, I know I shouldn't do this, but I really need someone. Like, this is a heavy day for me. And on top of that, my mom just got out of a coma for 11 days. I just need somebody. And he's like, I can't be there. I have a flight to catch in a couple hours. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't be coming to you, but I have nobody else. And he's like, what about, and each person he named, I went through the list and told them why they couldn't be there. This person told me years ago that I have too much going on in my life. What they really said is, I can't deal with your bullshit. And I'm like, your bullshit? My bullshit? Like, as if I created it. And they're like, no, you didn't create it, but it's just too much. This person. See how things happen when you don't see? If you don't listen, you're going to feel. The next person is a new mom, and I don't feel comfortable putting this on her, knowing that she's going through that adjustment. The next person said they have to open a new store, and that's their focus. And the final person, a year ago, said, if you ever need anything, let me know. I'm going to call you tomorrow to check in. And I hadn't heard from them in 6 months. So kind of leave it where it lay, you know? And he's like, oh, damn, like that's really bad. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, if I could, I would be there for you. So it's ironic that this friend is judging that man for whatever he did, because it doesn't absolve whatever went down. But that moment really showed me that so many of my decisions made with the men in my life was looking for support because I wasn't getting it in other places. I started going to therapy shortly after my dad died, and every single session since has dealt with some level of feeling a lack of safety or security. And I'm going to leave it at that because I feel like it says a lot without saying too much. Seeing this post made me feel a different type of irritated, because it's like, it's a cycle. Like, you can say I chose the bad guy, but did I choose the bad friend? Because it's one and the same. Like, if I chose well to begin with, I wouldn't be looking for love and support in the wrong places, period. Being able to see other people's why requires time and patience, and some of us don't have it to give, and that's perfectly fine. But I would hope that we all give it to ourselves. Taking a couple moments to look back at the decisions you made in your life that were good, not so good, and your why. Like, what fueled you? Was it your fear, your desire? Was it something that you told yourself about yourself? Was it something that you perceived for yourself? What was it that pushed you towards that decision? It can help you align better in the future. I know my why for the decisions I made, good, bad, and indifferent, because I sit with myself and I do that work. And there's so much strength in being able to say, you can stand in your truth. Like, I will never lie. I made bad decisions. And hey, David could say it best.
Much effect on someone who's not even on here.
And also, Alicia does not need any help from sabotaging things.
That vlog was a couple weeks ago, and I can laugh about it because I've come to a place where I hold myself accountable. There is nothing a single person on this planet can say about me that I haven't already looked at myself and tried to actively work through, or am actively working through. So when I say this feels like hurt or betrayal, it's not because I believe it to be true, but because I feel like the person who said it had no right to. So this next one here, things get a little dangerous because there is something to be said about meeting people where they're at and vice versa. I have heard this saying too many times to count. I'm sick of it, but it rings true. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Like I said, it was about a decade ago that this girl said, I'm tired of your bullshit. I'm like, what part of this did I choose? Like, whatever I was telling her, I was like, I didn't choose this. And she's like, I know, but I'm just tired of it. You're always going through something. I didn't ask for any of this. Being legally blind is a trip. My dad dying, I still am trying to process 3 years later. My auntie passed away early spring and I'm devastated. And my mom being in a coma for 11 days and still dealing with the ramifications of that today is just heavy. These are heavy things. And guess what? Which each one of these 4 things, I never told her in real time because I have people in the 4 corners of the earth that I can depend on. The people I'm closest to live the furthest away. And I'm not talking about in this city or even this country. It's Danielle in Antigua, Dwayna in Atlanta, JJ in Austin, and Marcus in Stockholm. If I need anything, they will be there on FaceTime. I feel the most alive when I travel to see them or when they come to see me because they are my foundation. They know me through and through. They love me as I am and they always want to see me do better. And same for them. I wish the best for them. I know their ins and outs and I don't judge them. I always meet them where they are and hope and see them for what they could be. And that is what I want you to have in your relationships in your life. This to me was a perfect example of someone who met me at a point in my life and has that image stuck in their mind. I can't begin to describe how dangerous it is to keep people in your life who only see you as you were. Not even as you are, but as you were. It's so important that people meet you where you're at, see you as you are, and what you are becoming. If someone sees you as you were, there's so much implicit bias there. They're going to see you for your past mistakes, your past perceptions, your past everything instead of what you're moving into, and that's going to impair you. There were times where I felt physically sick in this person's presence, not because they're a bad person, but because my spirit was telling me, like, this is no longer serving me. The first episode I ever made for this podcast was about pouring from a cup that's overflowing, and my cup wasn't full given some of the things I was going through. She was going through a breakup. I'm not going to get into the details. It's not my business. I think it's so cringe when people talk about their friends or their significant others and spill all the tea when things end. Like, this is more about you than them because whatever they did, you didn't have to do all of that. She was going through her breakup, and I thought by sharing these things and saying, hey, I'm going through this, but I'm getting through it, would inspire her and encourage her to power on. I didn't realize she was telling my friend, oh, she's complaining too much and I can't deal with it and I can't take it on. Message received. I don't want to create more harm and hurt. I don't want to hinder someone's self-discovery. So this is actually a good thing because now it's all out and open, and we'll talk more about that in the clarity segment. But just to wrap up this part about meeting people where they're at, we need to be honest with ourselves when someone says or does something that doesn't sit well with us or continues to show us who they are or what they can be in our lives, and vice versa. Sometimes we do ourselves a disservice when we envision more than what is being presented. And it can be harmful at times because then you have these moments of feeling disconnected where you don't understand why you're not getting where you want in life, but you're really just holding on to parts of your past based off of perceptions that others have. Clarity, clarity, clarity. It all comes down to clarity. The more information you get, the more informed decisions you can make. This moment for me provided so much clarity because now so many things make sense. Things that I had, some suspicions about or a feeling about, I know without a doubt. And it's actually liberating. It's still sad because it's like, wow, someone actually sees me as that. They don't actually see me for who I am and all that I've been through. But on the other hand, it's like, now I know and now I'm free and there's no love lost. It just gives me the permission to be all that I can be for other people who want me to be there for them, or use that energy to pour into myself. One of the first things that I thought when I saw this post was like, wow, if you're really hurting the way you're telling me hurting over this breakup, you should be using this time to sift and scroll and find a post that helps you feel lifted instead of sharing this to my friend about me, because I don't know what that does for you, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't uplift you. Like if it does, if you like it, I love it. Some people think or feel better when they're putting other people down or calling people out their names. I don't know. That's not my thing personally. Like I'll say like, oh yeah, this person did me wrong, or can you believe this happened? But that's about it. Then I try to use that to do better or be better or not allow that to happen again. I'm not going to sit on the internet and try to find posts that relate to this feeling that I had, because I don't have time for that. Like, plus I'm legally blind. I literally don't have time. I learned that you can try to explain yourself and you can share a lot, and as much as you share, maybe it's still not enough. And we live in an era of oversharing where people get on social and they say their mind and they share the whole timeline of their life. And there's so much harm in that because people don't know where you're coming from, and they don't know the place in which you're making your decisions, and they don't know where your heart lies, and they're coming in with their own perceptions to place on top of you. I think judgments are very hard because we all judge. But the way in which we judge really determines what we take away from other people's lived experiences. If we judge in a critical sense, there's very little that we take away from a closed heart perspective. If we judge from a perspective of like, I don't want that to happen to me, or I'm sad that happened to her, or she should have known better, but she didn't at that time, then we can use that to better align with a feeling and a thought process and a belief pattern that can actually help us progress. I don't think there was very much productivity in a post like this, but so often we share this about the people that hurt us or the perception of people that hurt us when we don't realize those people are hurting too. I no longer have any resentment in my heart where I feel like I'm longing for these things and I'm feeling isolated and I'm not getting what I need, because everything I need is right here, right now. And I'm so grateful for the few people that I've chosen to be my complete self with. And I'm so grateful for the Patreon fam, because there's been moments where I've said things to you guys before I've even said it to my friends. And we've worked through it in the personal messages and the things that you've shared with me. It just helps me know that this road of authenticity is not a road that you do go on alone. There are moments of loneliness, but you're never really alone. There's beauty in the struggle, but the struggle makes us beautiful. Final thing I found funny about this entire situation was the idea that I wasn't sharing things with her, or, generally we think sometimes someone's not sharing something because they know we're going to tell them about them, or they know we're not going to be happy, so they're hiding it. Listen, I wasn't hiding anything. I'm not hiding the world from the child and the child from the world. What was happening was I was seeing things for what it was. I was realizing I can't confide because there's no sense of comfort or security. There's no point in sharing because I don't like to talk for talking's sake. And I was starting to realize nearing the end that me sharing what I'm going through as a point of, hey, if I can get through it, if a breakup is here and losing someone, a parent, a very close family member is up here and it's irreversible, you can get through it. I mean, guys spin the block all the time. So if you want that, he might come back. If not, you can always pair up with a better person. But some people don't want to hear that. It's also not your job to make people understand your life. It's up to you to make you understand yourself. So keep that in mind next time you have a conflict. And I hope you enjoyed this. Please let me know if you took something away to help you on your authentic way. Comment down below any notes or anything you'd like to share. And if I need to improve, let a girl know too. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in and supporting. Until next time, stay blessed, stay authentic.